GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.
मैंने अजय देवगन के साथ काम किया था. I was, I'd heard a rumor that he doesn't work on Sundays, और बहुत सारे ऐसे actors हैं जो Sundays को काम नहीं करते हैं, they want to be with their family. And I was like, इतना होना चाहिए अपने में कि, you should have the ability to say no. Had the choice of making me sit at home and saying that no, you're pregnant, so we're not going to cast you. Although I did also get fired from different projects, and there are enough and more people who did that to me. But I'm hoping that through their mistakes, they learn. As soon as I turned 40, it was always like my kids are much older in the movies, and I'm just like, but I mean, I'm playing the mother to this person whose love interest as a man is the same age as I am. It doesn't make any sense. So, when that kind of stuff comes to you, it goes from like you question your ability. There's this top drawer designer whose showroom I walked into, and they were like saying the most ridiculous things. And I'm like, if they're going to do this to me, I wonder what they do to other people. Trolls, trolling, body shaming, judgment, opinions, negativity, all of this. I mean, it's the scum of the world. It's like you don't need it. Nobody needs it.
My guest today is someone who not only has a very, very strong voice of her own, but is also a very brilliant actress. If you go and tell her you can't do it, she'll probably do it twice and show you how it's done. Welcoming Neha Dhupia on Galatta, India. Hi Neha, how have you been?
I've been very good, thank you. And thank you for such a nice
Yeah.
introduction. Should we change that? She'll go and do it 6 times over.
No, but congratulations on No Filter Neha 6, because the kind of world we are living in today, the attention span of people is so less that nothing goes beyond 1 or maybe 2 seasons. And here you are at season 6. So, hats off to you for doing that. But tell me how when you look back today, because I'm sure when you started, आपको भी नहीं आइडिया होगा कि ये इतना बड़ा सक्सेस होगा, हम 6 सीजन्स होंगे, या पता था शुरू से?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. हमें कभी भी नहीं पता होता. इनफैक्ट अभी भी नहीं पता है कि आज हमारा एपिसोड ड्रॉप हो रहा है, तो will the season be a success? Will people come and watch it? I also feel that we are in season 6, but we're also living in a world where attention span, जैसे आपने कहा, इतना कम है. So how will I keep them engaged?
Yeah.
Is my 30 minutes long enough or short enough for them not to change or skim through one episode and then not watch the rest? वो थोड़ा तो डर लगता ही है. But having said that, I feel very happy that this is something that I also co-produce. I've also co-created, and I just lend my name to it, and then we have another season. So अंदर से तो ऐसे लगता है कि wow, बहुत अच्छी चीज़ हो रही है, पर घबराहट भी होती है साथ में. And to answer your question, did we always think that ऐसा होगा? Not at all. This was just a conversation sparked off literally in the parking lot. We were waiting for the valet to come and give our cars, and the then owner of JioSaavn, Rishi Malhotra, was like, we were chatting for 5 minutes, and he's like, you're very interesting and very funny and very candid, and why don't you have a talk show? And I'm like, really? And then, moving on, moving ahead, and this is where we're at.
Being a talk show host now, of course, what it's like. But according to me, the biggest challenge we face sometimes is getting the right people for our very show. कि मुझे यही चाहिए इस season में, और हमको इनके साथ ही conversation करनी है. How has that part been? Because you have always been an actor. You started exploring this side now, like 6-7 years back. How was it initially, and were there like big challenges your way?
I think convincing people, the first season wasn't hard actually. सबको लगता होगा the first season is hard. The first season is just like, I'm trying something, please come and support me. Second season around, like, people had started hearing about the show, there was a lot of interest. After 5 seasons, you have a lot of people who you really want to talk to who've already been on the show. So, to get some back who've been repeats and lots of change in their life, to then exploit your relationships, to then also reach out to people you don't know. So it's a combination of everything. And I always feel like whatever you want to do in life, चाहे वो आप शो बना रहे हैं, चाहे वो किसी को बोल रहे हैं शो पर आने के लिए, चाहे वो काम मांग रहे हैं, कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, give it your best and be ready to hear a no. अपनी तरफ से पूरा करो. सामने से जो होगा is just God's plan, life's plan, everything. कई लोग मना भी कर देते हैं, but then the casting of it comes together, and these are the 8 people I really wanted to talk to. Would I trade even one of my guests for another one this year? No, not at all. Would I look at exploring a possibility of talking to some people who I couldn't speak to. If I go into another year, 100% I would.
You know, earlier there was this notion that once you maybe get married or you are a mum, then work maybe starts coming in less. But I, on the contrary, have seen you all the way more ever since, you got married, you had kids, and you have been, from the outer look of it, I feel you have been balancing it perfectly. Of course, I know कि आपको भी difficulties होती ही होंगी. आप मतलब super power तो किसी के पास नहीं है. But when I look at you, I feel okay. Here's an actor who knows how to balance her personal and professional life and also not give up on anything. But sometimes I also get people to, they're saying that mom guilt bhi bahut ho jata hai when we are working. How do you manage to do it all when a person from the outside feels okay, she's doing it perfectly?
No, not at all. That's a myth. There's no such thing as, a working mom who has one perfect day at work, because, your day starts off with your children wanting, you wanting your children to be okay, to your day ending with your children should be absolutely fine in a safe environment, healthy, happy. And then everything that happens in the middle is you doing stuff for yourself. Like, जब भी मैं काम पे भी जाती हूँ, my daughter's 5.5. She's old enough to understand. And I always tell her that Mama's going to go to work because Mama wants to go to work. It's not something else. I'm not going to lie to her that I'm doing this for you or I'm doing this for someone else. Because firstly and most importantly, I'm doing it for myself. Yeah. Whether it's creative satisfaction, whether it's financial independence, whether it's me just being the person who loves the hustle and the drive and the speed of being on a set and all of that. It's all for me. So this is where एक जो होता है ना, the middle of the day, your work hours, that's where the mom guilt kicks in, that do I need to do this every day versus should I be at home with my kids? But I know that I'm there 100% when I'm there. I know that no matter what, I'll finish my next 2 interviews and I'll be there for bedtime. I know that, मेरे को बहुत साल पहले जब मैंने अजय देवगन के साथ काम किया था, I was, I'd heard a rumor that he doesn't work on Sundays, और बहुत सारे ऐसे actors हैं जो Sundays को काम नहीं करते हैं, they want to be with their family. And I was like, इतना होना चाहिए अपने में कि you should have the ability to say no. मेरे में ना, मैं कभी मना नहीं करती थी, जो काम आता था मैं ले लेती थी. कई बार ऐसे होता था कि we don't have the budget or we don't have the perfect role for you, and I was just like, काम करते हैं यार, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, we'll collaborate, अगली बार और कर लेंगे. That used to be my attitude. But now I feel my children have taught me how to say no when A, it's time taken away from them, and B, I feel I'm being shortchanged. Because what I have at home, no, if I'm not getting that creative satisfaction or if I'm not getting my worth, I'm not going to trade that for anything. I'm not going to trade my time with my children because they're growing up. I could get another offer which will give me all this and more, but nobody will give me time with my children because they would have grown up 3 years from now. So so coming back to the Ajay Devgan and the many stars who take their weekends off, now I've started taking my weekends off, and I feel like, and it's very empowering for me to be at home, to go to work at my own time, to make my decisions, and knowing when I need to take time off as a working mom. And I feel like that comes from a place of A, confidence, B, working hard, and C, self-belief. It's very important to know that अगर तुम Saturday or Sunday को phone के पास नहीं गए, it's okay. The world's not going to crumble. It's going to happen. And I really feel like the time that I spend with my children, whether it's bedtime, whether it's my weekends, or whether it's through the weeks, there's so many days. Like sometimes I don't work for a month on end, and sometimes I work 2 days in the month. But I'm doing my drops, I'm doing my pickups, and I'm like, I'm so consumed being the mother because that's the best role that life has offered to me, and I want to play it every day of my life.
Fantastic, very beautifully put. And I remember when you were, pregnant with Meher, the first time, I remember you had set like a benchmark. Soon after you announced it, I saw you working. I also saw you, there was this ramp walk that you all did. And I was like, oh my God, this is what we need more often, because it's actually a myth that when you're pregnant, you just have to sit at home. No, that's not true.
No, also with Gureka's son, I did a Thursday where I was eight months pregnant.
And you played a cop who was pregnant. That was so liberating to watch. Also, I remember when a Thursday released, we did speak about it. And it was fantastic. Even with, when Kareena was also doing Veere the wedding, she got pregnant. And of course, Riya waited for her. Today, I feel people around you have also become very supportive.
Yeah, because if they don't give me the opportunity, if Behzad as my director and Ronnie Screwwala as my producer didn't give me the opportunity, he could have had the choice of making me sit at home and saying, then no, you're pregnant, so we're not going to cast you. Although I did also get fired from different projects. And there are enough and more people who did that to me. But I'm hoping that through their mistakes, they learn. Because nothing's going to change in my life. For me, in my life, being pregnant and losing out on a project is not a missed opportunity. It's life. It's me giving life. Nobody can take that away from me. But I'm hoping that the ones who did that to me don't go ahead and do that to other women in the future. And maybe wait around or like, write the role differently. Because that's all. Like Behzad, if like, a crew with like 4 men can turn around and rewrite the part for you, I tip my hat off to them.
I'm so sure. But despite that, of course, we are seeing so many more opportunities. When these missed opportunities are there, you miss something because you are pregnant or now you're married or you look a certain way. Does that pinch you now, or have you made your own peace with it?
No, it doesn't bother me at all. It took me a little bit of time to come around, like it does. Like in your 20s, when you start doing, all the kind of projects you want to do, and suddenly it starts fizzling out, and then, you're in your late 20s and someone in your early 20s starts getting those projects. Likewise, when you go to your 30s and you're like, you're still not old enough to play a mum, but you're getting the mum parts, and then you're like, but it's too soon, but everybody else thinks that they've seen you around for 10 years and you're ready to make that jump. Or then, in your 40s, and as soon as I turned 40, it was always like, my kids are much older in the movies, and I'm just like, but I mean, I'm playing the mother to this person whose love interest as a man is the same age as I am. It doesn't make any sense. So, when that kind of stuff comes to you, it goes from like you question your ability to then saying no to them, to then finally having a laugh. But then to reach that point of having a laugh at yourself or having a laugh at the offer that's given to you, you need to reach that point of confidence, because you need to know something better is waiting for you and no one else can define it apart from you yourself. So I genuinely feel that if opportunities don't come your way, give it time. And if you think time is running out, create the opportunity.
Or Karan, Karina, all of you all had babies at the same time, and
yes, they're all good friends.
No, that's not my question. I'm sure they are. But when you're working with them or you meet them, is there like you all discuss something about parenting? Because everyone has their own way, I'm sure.
I mean, we talk about the kids. And especially if someone's traveling, we always reach out saying, can you get this or can you get that or something like that. My daughter had a very unreasonable demand, and she was just like, I was on the phone with Karan, and he was just going to London recently, and she said something very cute on the phone. And in my head, I was just like, Meher, it's Karan Mamu, you can ask for different things, but I mean, it's different. Like, they're very sweet. But we have like kind of, I mean, we go from discussing parenting to discussing movies to just discussing each other. I feel like more than anything else, we're invested in each other.
As I mentioned in my intro, Neha, you have a very strong voice of your own, and I've often heard you take a stand about the right things, the things you believe in. Now, I remember there was a point in life where people were commenting on your body and the way you looked. And last year, I remember I hosted this show called Body Faming, which was the opposite of body shaming. And I just remember that people couldn't even bear that. We were having a positive conversation with all the actors who have dealt with things like that. I remember I did an episode with Bhumi, and people had just nasty comments to write on that video. And it made me thinking, okay, you know what? No matter what you do in life, people will also always come and find that one loophole and start commenting on that. I took my own time to make peace with it. I was very bothered at first, but you go through it on a much bigger level. An actor is going through that. So, of course, that's incomparable. But how do you make your peace with that?
For me, it's not so much about, it was about the body shaming, because I was also going through postpartum, and it wasn't about the trolls. For me, it was the fact that there was a journalist who used the headline to body shame me. And I pulled them up. And I feel like now it doesn't happen. Like, journalists don't do that anymore. And I feel like somewhere I was a voice of reason saying you can't. Not to a woman who's going through postpartum. I'm saying not through a woman who's going through anything. And even if, you could be a plus size, how does it matter to anybody? How does it affect anybody? But yeah, if it affects you, because it affected me, and I've always been into fitness, I was just like, I need to do something about it when I'm ready, when in good time, and when I know that, I'm done. Like, I was feeding my son, I was looking after my daughter, and for the first 1 year, I didn't feel like doing anything. Soon after that, I was like, now I want to, and here I am. I lost 23 kilos, and I feel great about myself. And the days I don't go to the gym or something, I feel like it's a little bit of a wasted kind of day for me. But I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah.
It's like my husband, who's also working in the movies, who's also doing his shows and stuff, but he's also running for the country. Like, he's running an international race. Just now he went and ran the nationals. He's not doing it for anyone else. We both like fitness. Having said that, trolling, body shaming, judgment, opinions, negativity, all of this. I mean, it's the scum of the world. It's like you don't need it. Nobody needs it. And as long as people, are healthy, and I feel like if your size comes in the way, whether it's plus or whether it's, if you're on the other side of it, if you're too skinny also, if it comes in the way of your health, get up, do something about it, and look after it. And as far as the trolls are concerned, it just becomes so toxic after a point. And for all you know, they haven't checked themselves in the mirror for a really long time, because they're faceless and nameless. So there's very little you have to say about them.
I'm sure. Do you find it funny when the same people who probably maybe, made you feel bad about something about yourself, when you are, like you said, I've lost, 23 kgs, right? Kudos to you, my God. But I will just say you looked fab back then, you look fab now. So when they come around and then they offer you something they were earlier not offering you. Like, I read an interview where you said when you were, sourcing for Vicky Katrina's wedding, there was a PR for a designer who made you feel a certain something, and then they turn around and they are like, yeah, now we want to dress you. How do you deal with that?
I'm saying, but there are some people who do it. And maybe that's not what the designer stands for, but it's representation, right? You need to have the right representation. You need to be very... I'm saying, if you are going to show plus size models, because it's an inclusive world, put your money where your mouth is, and kind of, dress everyone across the board. Lots of them are very nice. Lots of them have dressed me. Lots of them, have... And I'd say, with my relationships and for as long as I've been here, my success ratio with designers has been like 99%. Like, the entire, I call them the Delhi gang, all of them, the Bombay lot, everyone has been really wonderful. But then there's this top drawer designer whose showroom I walked into, and they were like saying the most ridiculous things. And I'm like, if they're going to do this to me, I wonder what they do to other people.
I swear.
So I'm like, I feel bad, and I really feel that the world needs to be shaken up.
Yeah.
And we need to focus on the right things, and we need to be sensitive. People are not sensitive.
Yeah, I was once asked that the size is a little bigger, so you pay extra. I was like, to small, my sister is buying the small size, then uska kam dungi main. And I was like, you are a designer. She was a well-known designer from Chandigarh. I was like, how can you do this? Yeah, like, that was just... So
But
I get
the thing is not that. That's not where the problem is. There, for them, the problem is the pricing. It's what it does to you, that comment, when you go home.
Yeah.
That's where the problem lies. Maybe you're, a smart, confident individual who's successful and doing well. So therefore, you know how to deal with it.
Exactly.
Imagine if they do it to,
I know.
someone else who's plus size, who's kind of gathered the guts because they know that, their size is a little different and they're a little larger, so they want to go out and shop for themselves. And I feel like it's a lot more harder, because I've been there, it's a lot more harder to actually say, hey, I want to dress up today. Because you know that, your hustle is going to be more than everyone else's.
Neha, you have come a long way. And when I only was doing my own research about you and reading, I was only thinking, wow, man, it's so tough today to be still relevant in what you do in our industry. It's a mean industry. But if you are out there with your work and your work's good, you stay around. When you look back today, do you get overwhelmed? What is that one thought that comes?
Firstly, I want to clarify it's not a bad place at all. It's not a mean industry. It's a hard place.
It's a hard industry.
It's a hard industry.
It's a tough
hard
one,
place.
yeah.
It's how do you keep your audience engaged? How do you get them to love you for what you do? Because if you miss that connect, that's when it all goes for a toss. So like, you know, whether my connect with them at one point was the girl next door to somebody who was making left or center choices in cinema, to doing indie films, to then being boss lady, to then being talk show host, to whatever my trajectory must be. Everybody's is different. Like somebody still says, ye wo kayamat wali ladki hai to me. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe you remember. Or maybe is that the only thing you remember me for? It's how I look at it. But you got to take everything in your stride, take it in your humor. And it's a really tough place. But I'm saying, as long as you have somebody in your life and around you to give you a reality check every day. It's here today, it's going to be gone tomorrow. Work hard, focus on being a good person, be professional, make the most of the opportunities or create them. I mean, good things happen.
Lovely. On that note, thank you so much, Neha, for this conversation and your positivity. It's always fab talking to you, and all the very best for No Filter
Thank you very
Neha.
much.
Thank
Please
you.
watch it.
Of
That's the most
course,
important
I
thing.
will.
Hi everyone, I'm Neha Dhupia and you're watching me on Galatta, India.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.